Great. Guess the first item on the agenda is the this matrix for the working groups. I know that I just sent it out to folks because later in the meeting, I guess we decided that we'd focus on the Google platform. But in the meantime, I just wanted to mention that I actually tried to give folks their first or second preferences here. And we ended up having to have, based on the number of people, number of categories, 3 people in each category. And I just want to mention that I was the only person that had an interest in category 1, which was, I don't know, kind of surprising, but that's okay. That's okay. That was the cost benefits analysis work. So as I mentioned in a pre-meeting, I'll take that responsibility on, and you guys will have to keep me accountable as a group for that particular section. I also thought, based on how we broke this out, just let me go through it just so, and if I make a mistake, please let me know. In category B, which is the consideration for how other municipalities have created their municipal internet services, we have Craig in that group, Josh, and Ed. And there were a lot of people competing for that particular category. In category C, which identification of all necessary or advisable city and state legislation. In that category, we have both Catalina and Jeff, Quinn, and Scott, which again, Scott has to decide whether or not he's going to continue to hang in there with us or if he chooses to assume his other responsibilities, and that'll be his call. In category D, which is development of an ideal model of a municipal internet service, we have Craig, and we have Fatima, and we have Martin in that category. And in category E, review all available options that would minimize financial cost of creating such infrastructure. So that's category E, and there we have Josh, Fatima, and Martin. In category F, suggest partnerships as the commission deems worthwhile with current city businesses, non-for-profits, higher education institutions, the city's grade school and public libraries, and other municipalities to maximize the potential and implementation of a municipal internet service. That's category F. In that category, we have Kathleen and Ed and Jeff. And then in category G, any other topics the commission feels necessary to address in the spirit of successfully establishing a municipal internet service. And most people had this ranked as, it's very ambiguous, just had it ranked very low in their priorities at 3s and 4s. So, kind of, as things evolve, we'll all have some input in that category. I think makes the most sense at this point, just because a lot of the work that these working groups will do will actually spawn additional ideas and questions. So we'll all have some input in that category. So that's how this broke out. If there's any concerns or discussions around these categories, I really thought that Craig and I would kind of provide also kind of a facilitation service for all of the working groups. And I kind of broke that out so that myself in category C, E, and F would kind of look at those things, and then Craig, obviously his interest being in category B and D, would kind of focus on those things. Those are kind of heavy lifts. So we just kind of, as each group is working, we check in with you guys and, try to help steer resources or identify, where there's problems or issues that we need to kind of help so that the group continues to make some progress. We also had a brief offline discussion about once these categories were established and these working groups were established, I should say, that our next meeting would be 30 days from now, as opposed to 2 weeks from now, giving each group an opportunity to kind of, get themselves established and maybe be able to do some meaningful work in those categories before we met again. And Craig and I would be checking in, just to see how things are going. So if anyone has any concerns or wants to add to that or has any ideas around that, now's the time to kind of discuss it.
I like to weigh in on just two of things. For what it's worth, I didn't list Group A because quite honestly, it was hard to choose between different groups, and I know that Group A as a solo, that's a lot to take on.
So heavy lift.
Yeah, I'd definitely be willing to assist with that as well. So I've been looking through some different paperwork that I do with project work since our last meeting, and one of the things that I identified is a layout that we use for large IT projects, which lays out the options, cost, benefit, and all that. So that may be a good document to help us lay some of the different pieces out once we bring the data together and say, okay, say this is our current state. Here are the risks, the costs, the options, the benefits, if there are any, and then go through. Well, here's the next best step, so you can clearly see what might give the best bang for the buck, and then what those bucks are. That's the other thing. The other thing I was going to bring up, I know that we had discussed at the last meeting that the offer that Josh made to do the mapping for us. And I'm not sure that made it into the minutes.
We can put that into category G.
And I think that's where we had that in mind, was G.
Yeah.
So those were the only things that leapt out at me. But definitely, I'm more than willing to assist where I can with any of the efforts. And I hope that Scott does find time, though I know that that'll be tough to stay with us, because I'd love to be able to pick his brain. That's all I've got.
Yeah, a wealth of knowledge. Yeah, so as items like mapping and other things come up, people, we'll check in with folks and you can kind of email us and we'll just put those things in that G category. And as an IT guy myself, so I understand the model, I was going to look for different cost benefit analysis models specifically for high-speed internet services. Those models exist out there, and kind of do some plugins. So I'm exactly where you are, Craig, on that. And I'd appreciate any help or any input that anyone has in those areas, in that area in particular. Any other discussions around these working groups? So, the key is, I'm going to leave it to you guys to figure out, the times and when you'll meet. We'll just do Craig and I'll do a week check-in, just to see how things are going every week. But again, I think giving a month before we have a public meeting again about the details of what we've accomplished during that time makes a lot of sense at this point. Any other concerns or any other thoughts?
Just one. I'm sorry, just one item. I know that I thought I saw in the one email thread that Jess, you had set up the Google Space for us.
Was that right? That was all set up.
Okay, and I see if we can share that with the full group, so we can start to set up folders within that. That would probably be the next step that we should take.
I think that's an agenda item to Google.
Okay.
Google setup. So I guess we can move on then. Everyone agree? Okay. Yeah, Google is the next platform issue as old business. And then we also have report on commission's ability to vote by mail. So let's just take, is everyone comfortable with the idea of using the Google platform for the work that has to be done? Any objections? Okay, that sounds good. And then we were going to look into being able to vote by email on different items. I don't know who
Yes.
was taking responsibility for investigating that.
Jess and our friends at the city did that. This is Caitlin speaking. And as Scott pointed out, open meetings law does not permit us to vote by email. Can certainly conduct work, but anything that's an action of the commission, we'd have to do in a meeting.
Okay. Fair enough. Are there any other items that maybe didn't get listed in old business that we need to kind of address? Okay. So any new business that people want to bring up?
Well, Greg and I talked a little bit over email. I just want to make sure the group, it's Albany. So having a non-Albany resident and I'll still be an Albany resident for a while, technically, and my kids and wife will still be in Albany for a little while. So, but we all know it's Albany. We all know there's going to be a little bit of a political pushback. If I'm on the commission, there will be questions on Twitter, I am sure, about me being, on this commission and working in Connecticut. So I don't have an issue staying on with this group since I'm going to be spending my week without loud children and, other things. I'll be able to focus a little bit probably more on this, at least Monday through Thursday nights. I'll really be able to dedicate to this without the dog barking. So I am more than comfortable with staying on the commission. By law, I can stay on the commission, but I know it being Albany that I want to make sure the rest of my fellow commission members are comfortable with the idea before I go forward with it.
Well, let me just speak for myself. I mean, Scott, I know the things you've done over the years, and you're an enormous resource. It'd be, I think, kind of a loss for the city if you were not participating, just because of the wealth of knowledge and the things that you've done here. So as far as I'm concerned, I think it's worthwhile. And I think the residents of the city of Albany would be, you're an asset. You'd be a great asset to them. So any objections that anyone would have in the city, I think we could, swell that right away pretty quickly. It's hard to get people to serve on these things in general. And it's especially hard to get people to serve that have the kind of capacity that you do. So appreciate it if you would stay on myself.
Yeah. I'd like to speak a little bit to this too. I mean, Scott, Lord knows I work in politics and have for, 50 plus years now in this city of all places. So I know what you're talking about. But I think there's no question in my mind, you could be on the moon and still be part of this city. Okay. And I don't think that anyone with a working frontal lobe would question that. That said, there are some out there that don't have the working frontal lobe. So that said, I think that our goal, I think the goal of the commission is to bring the expertise and the knowledge and the skills to give the residents of the city the best possible outcome. Your presence brings us a large step closer to being able to do that. And if anyone wanted to say, well, should we then add an extra person if that's, if that makes political sense, I will leave that to the political powers that be. The legislation can be amended to add a person if that's what they wanted to do. I actually, while there may be some Twitter traffic, because people do know that you are leaving and going to the place, I'll be honest, with everything else going on right now, I doubt it's going to come up high on anyone's political radar with any sense of time where it might be a real problem. So that said, we really were down to 3 weeks for the end of this political season. More than 4 years before we get into the next city political season. Practically speaking, it won't be a problem. But speaking for again, purely for myself, I think we would greatly benefit by your stay.
I don't think anyone needs to say more than that, but Scott, I think the fact that you're offering to do work in between job transitions is a gesture of good faith, and I appreciate it.
Definitely.
Thank you.
So do we need to formally vote on that, or can we?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I think everyone is in agreement. Okay. Thanks again, Scott. Greatly appreciated. Any other items and new business that people feel like we need to kind of address? Any thoughts out there about anything? It's a quiet group. Either that or we're covering all of our bases, right? And I doubt that's the case. There's always something that can be done. Okay.
I don't know. I just can't wait to start research.
Yeah, I know. This is it's good. It's good. It's good that folks are eager. So as I mentioned, Craig and I will just do check-ins, just to see how things are going. As this progresses over the next month. Encourage everyone just to kind of review, and then again, use us as a resource and other resources that are out there. I mean, you're all adult folks, you guys know how to get these things done. So I trust that at the end of the day, we'll come up with a good preliminary product.
I guess, Iris, sorry to interrupt. So just
Sure.
Said 30 days for our next meeting. I think that puts us on the 16th if we want to keep to the Tuesday.
Yeah, keep to the Tuesday. So I guess 28 days, right? Or is it?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
whatever you say. So I'll put it down as November 16th, same time, also by Zoom.
Absolutely. Okay, sounds great. Okay, there's nothing else at this point. I guess we can make a motion to adjourn.
Just one last thing. Can we clarify that Jess is going to send, or whether you'll send the link to the Google Space out to the whole group?
Yeah, one or both of us will do that.
Great. Okay, thank you.
And Caitlin, we probably want to switch to my Gmail account because my Albany Public Library account won't exist anymore. So I'll send that to the group. I'll respond to Ira's email with my Gmail.
Thanks,
Great.
Scott. Thanks for that reminder.
Thank you.
Okay. All right then. It's been a pleasure. Guys, so we'll adjourn for the evening, and everyone have a great evening.
You too.
Good night.
Night, everyone.
Night.
Bye, everybody.
Night.